planting population trials, nitrogen reduction trials, as well as comparing high management to low management for the economic analysis, especially important in a year like 2025, where farm economics are going to be challenged. I'm talking to Johnny Verell about the field day and the lessons you can take back to your farm from his 2025 field day in this special edition of XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve.
Welcome to XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve podcast, where real farmers share real insights and real results to help you improve your farming operation. And now, here's your host, Damian Mason.
Hey there, welcome to another fantastic episode of XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve. I got Johnny Verell here, Jackson, Tennessee, and he has a field day. It's coming up on August 5th. I'm going to be there. I would like you to be there. But if you're listening to this and it's after August 5th, don't worry. We're still talking about things that you can take home to your farming operation. Last year at Mr. Verell's field day, we had skip row corn. We had some combines on site doing some combine trials. We had extreme nitrogen reduction studies. In fact, he wasn't afraid to put it out there and let all the people come and see what zero nitrogen applied to corn looks like. It looked like sick, slightly diseased popcorn, maybe sweet corn. Anyway, it was in bad shape. Doing some more of the same. I just always get excited. We bring really cool lessons. They're free to attend. You can come to any of our field days. You just got to register for them. So what excites you?
Yeah, just seeing the new things. We started the field day in 2016. We built it on always being an agronomic field day. And so we really try to think things through and, go to other field days and see what people are doing that might catch our eye with that work here in West Tennessee. What we realize, a lot of things that work here can work all across the country. And, last year you're talking about how we had combines running. We've done that a couple of years, and we wanted people to really have a good feel of how to properly set a combine, right? So 2 years ago, it was 25% moisture corn, 30%. This past year, it was 16%. And people got to see combines running in the field, walking behind the combine, seeing what different settings there were, because there's no reason to make it the crop if you can't keep it all. And then we've done nitrogen reduction like you talked about, and we've done timing of nitrogen, whether you put it all out up front planting like people do with anhydrous. We've done in-season side dress. We've done in-season side dress with a tassel shot, simulating if you run an airplane or wild drops late season, and really just trying to show people how to get their highest ROI and be as efficient as we possibly can with our money, with our nutrients, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what we make if we're not making money in the bank. It doesn't matter what goes in that bin. So we've kind of done a lot of things, and then we break out different hybrids of corn, trying to showcase which ones can handle high management, which ones do better not pushing them. So, because not all corn is created equal. Every company has corn that's top end corn. Every company has corn that's more of the, has the guts to it, can kind of hang in there in the drought conditions. So it's pretty interesting how we do it. We've had it where we've had a drought, still have the field day showcasing, 120 bushel corn. And then we've done it where we've had good corn. So we just try to take it, what we do on a lot of acres on our farm, some things we're thinking about work, and showcase it. Hopefully that helps people out.
All right, you gave us a lot of stuff right there. First off, I just want to point out, let's say you're from the Midwest or the North, Northern Plains, something, and you're saying, wait a minute, these are running combines on August 5th. Mr. Verell actually harvests corn starting in July, and it might be higher moisture, but in a different episode, you can go back and check this out. We talked about his superior grain setup with his grain dryer and how he's made this made sense. We did a recording while I was on site there with he and Brian Adams. We talked about the fact that when you can catch the river market, am I calling that correctly, Johnny? The river market, because of the Mississippi River for export, there's a lot of places that are depleted of corn by a certain time. So doing harvest to August 5th is not actually all that out of the ordinary.
Yeah, our usual start date's 15th of August, so we can go earlier if we get the crop in. It just depends, but.
So you're showing people this year. You said something interesting. You said there's some hybrids that handle high management and some that don't. Describe high management, low management, because last year we walked down the aisle and we looked on both sides and you said, I'm just demonstrating that this one is everything, including the kitchen sink, and this one over here is bare minimum. Bare minimum for you might be not that bare minimum for somebody else. So kind of describe high management, low management, because that's a neat thing, because then it's truly tabletopping right there. You can look, you literally can look and say, this has everything, including the kitchen sink, and this one doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of anything.
Yeah, we'll change the population about 4,000 or 5,000. So we'll plant, say, 28,000 in what we consider our low management. High management will run 34, 35,000, depending on, what we're shooting for that year. So we do that, but outside of that, we start breaking out, the low management just gets N, P, and K, and it gets side dressed just like the high management does. The difference is the high management might get a PGR added, might get some stress mitigation products added to it, might get some late season potassium and phosphorus added to it, those type things, because it's amazing. You plant 10 varieties out there and you treat them all the same, but they don't respond the same.
Right.
And then you go over to the low management side, and the one that didn't do as good in the high management might be up towards the top of the end in the low management, because they don't take all the extra things to make a yield, but they will never have that top end. And so it lets us see what crops, because on our operation, we got some ground that might not be the best. We don't want to push them. We want to know what variety of corn needs to go in there. But if we, on a lot of our ground, we're able to push, especially a year like this year, we've been getting some rain, we won't be able to know what to put on these crops, what to put on the corn crop to really push the top end. And having a field day like this lets you break down, because a lot of times we'll put a blanket of 5 to 6 things out there, but then we'll put each individual practice on it too to see which one's actually giving us the biggest ROI.
Yeah. So what'd you find out last year? Because there's a temptation. Commodity prices are a bit depressed. Input prices have stayed up. We know there's going to be some friction on the economics. Did it convince you that low management's the way to go, or at least lower management, lower expense corn? I mean, yeah, you give up 20 bushels, but you also save 160 bucks, whatever the number is per acre.
Well, I mean, if you got corn ground that's only going to make 130, 40 bushel, yes, it tells you exactly what you need to put there and what's going to get you, the biggest bang for your buck. But for us, making the higher end yields, even in a $4.50 corn market like we are right now, usually you still get a better ROI as long as you have the rainfall to finish it out. Yeah. We can't always control the end with the rain, but right now, we're going to keep pushing our crops. We're doing some things still today. We were at the field day yesterday, adding products to the high management corn to continue pushing it. So,
population. Last year was skip row, and I thought when you skipped a row, that meant that you actually saved money on seed. And I believe that we did a video where you explained that that's not necessarily the case, or maybe one of our guys explained that you actually use the same amount of seed, you just skip a row. And I said, well, what's the point? So kind of explain that from last year. I thought that was neat.
Yeah, so I mean, we take it, if we're going to plant 30,000, we turn around and do skip row, we plant the rows on 45,000, so it still averages to 30,000. And what we're realizing is if it's a drought or a lot of heat, it seems like the air gets out of the canopy better, so it cools off better at night. We were 15-inch corn, we went to 20s, now we're back to 30s. And for us, where we're at and the varieties we're planting, they just seem to respond the best in that 30-inch environment. We actually get a yield gain, though, when we do skip row. And I know it's crazy. We've done it 3 or 4 years in a row. We've been playing with it. We've never had a negative effect to the corn, but we're not 100% skip row on our farming operation today either, because it adds some degree of management with some weeds and stuff like that. But it's just something to showcase, to get people thinking outside the box. We tell everybody to always try, 50 acres, see how it goes. If they like it, try some more. And that's kind of how we've been playing that card. And, we've done population studies from 42,000 down to 24,000 too. And just trying to see, what varieties respond the best to that yield, or to that population to get the best yield.
Yeah, by the way, we're talking to Johnny Verell, who I told you that he's got a superior grain setup. So I want to remind you that as your farming operation grows, so do your challenges. Superior Grain Equipment's grain storage systems are built to make your job easier. You can ask this guy right here. He has one. And it can also help your grain reach its full potential. From gentle mix flow dryers to durable storage, you can get the flexibility to market your grain on your time. Visit the experts from Superior Grain Equipment at this year's Farm Progress Show, or more importantly, you can visit them online anytime at superiourbins.com, superiourbins.com. Nitrogen reduction. Literally, market to market, the PBS show based out of Iowa just was covering this week's edition about the findings that say nitrates in the Raccoon River solely because of agriculture. I shot a video about it along my drainage ditch. 35% of applied nitrogen gets in the corn plant. Where do we think the rest of this goes? I believe that it is incumbent upon us in agriculture to decrease applied nitrogen and get more bang for the buck for the nitrogen that we do put out there, and regulation is coming if we don't get our act together. I'm not being mean and I'm not being anti-ag. I'm just saying, look at what's happening out here. You and Kelly Garrett are two of the guys in XtremeAg that have really been pushing reduction of applied nitrogen. What do you got going on this year?
Yeah, so same thing. We've actually got 3 products that we've got out that are going to help us reduce nitrogen in trial basis. We've got one through Agrison now called Infinity. We got one through SoundAg called Source, and then we got Pivot Bio's product out also that's been out for several years, and we've been using it on our farm. So we're trying to trial all these. The reason I like looking at different ones, some of them have different modes of action, some of them have different applications. So if you miss the app planning, you can come back in season. So that's why we're trying to look at multiple ones, just so you got different opportunities to potentially reduce your nitrogen. And it's been a big deal for us. I mean, I don't know, 5 years ago, we were probably at 1.2, 1.3 per unit of nitrogen per bushel of corn. We're down to about a 0.8. I mean, we have some fields that are down under 0.8, 0.7 range. So we've definitely reduced. But we're trying to just always look at new products because mainly they got different modes of action and they got different applications. And that's a big deal because you don't always get to hit your window and you want to always have a different way to do it.
It's interesting, and I like these companies that are coming out and doing this. You mentioned Agrison, Pivot Bio, and SoundAg. They're all going to be part of your field day, right?
That's right.
And all of them kind of, the one of them has a product called something 40, right? Proven 40 or something like this.
That's right.
And they always come up with this thing, you can cut back your applied nitrogen by 40 pounds. How do they magically grab that 40-pound thing? Because I could make the argument we need to cut back by, like you talk about, half. We need to cut back by half. And that's, in many cases, nowhere close to 40 pounds. It's a lot more than that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's just where they've got the benchmark set. And so that's what they're saying that they can kind of guarantee in a year's time to be available. But what I will tell people is they ought to take a product like that and not reduce it. And what we say in our farming operation, when we don't do what they say, we don't get a yield gain. So if you're not getting a yield gain, nitrogen wasn't the limiting factor. You got something else. So that tells me it's doing it. We've done it every which way. We've reduced, like you said last year, we had 0 nitrogen just with a product like Pivot Bio. And we got to see exactly what that product can do with no help at all from synthetic nitrogen. So, you just got to try them out, figure out how they work best for your farm and make them work. But like at the end of the day, they're products that are going to be needed in the near future in a bigger way than they are today.
I'd agree with that. And then, I think there might still be some technology, and hopefully that if we're doing a field day at your place in another 1, 2, or 5 years, you'll say, man, look at how far we've come on reducing nitrogen. It's not only this product, one of those 3 that you just talked about, it's also something that you do, some change that you make, whatever. And I think it's going to be ultimately good for us in agriculture. Technology. I was at your farm for the first time a couple of years ago, and you had a drone, and it was a big drone. It was like not like the little kind that flies around, take pictures of your wedding. It was like the size of a Volkswagen, and it was flying around. You do some treatment on your stuff with drones. You don't have combine demonstrations. You don't have. Is there anything that you're excited about that last couple of years of technology are now becoming standard practice at your place?
Yeah, I mean, we're using See and Spray on our farm. We're using it in different aspects of what they traditionally wanted. We still run the drones, Damon. We were running the drones yesterday on some plots. The drones are our best fit for us on these small plots. And then I think Monday we got to fly 80 acres of plots in one block. So we use them all the time like that. We've got some other things on some sprayers that we're looking at to see how the spray droplets are hitting the leaves. There's a company that we've been messing with that. So we're kind of looking at that, just trying to trial that out and see if it's going to work. But, one of the neat things that we're going to look at this year that is really not a technology is in the soybeans. And we're trying to figure out row spacing. Does row spacing affect root size?
Yeah.
Does row spacing affect soybean yields? And so we're trying to figure out a lot of things like that to see. And so we actually have that this year too. It's not a new technology thing. It's something that's been around for years, and people are finding beans at all different row spacings. But we're trying to show people what does row spacing actually do for you.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. We've done this thing with soybeans, and let's see, 36 inches, 30 inches, 7 inches on drill. 15s are the common thing around where I am right now. How many more different ways are we going to figure out how to plant soybeans?
I don't know. Yeah, for me, we've kind of been all over the place with row spacings, and we've got some 15s this year, some 20s, and some 30s, and some 7.5s. Just on our farm, just trying different things. And deer pressure is one reason we do it to whatever. But at the field day, we're trying to see some of the stuff that we've seen talking to other people and kind of traveling to other field days is, row spacing can affect root size, which can affect in drought conditions. So we're trying to show people what roots look like on 30s and what roots look like on 15-inch. We're actually going to do a root dig so you can actually go out there and see the difference. But we're also going to showcase along these same lines, you got population that we're going to play into, Damon. We're going to carry soybeans down below 60,000 and try to show people when you have a thin stand like we've had this year with all the rain we've had, what are you giving up, if anything, if they're planted early and on a timely fashion? Now, we know there can't be a skip and have 60,000, have 10 feet before a seed, but we actually got it simulated really good over at the field day this year. We got populations from 60,000 to 140,000 on different row spacings. And we're going to do root digs at each one of them and try to show people how you can manipulate the root structure of the soybean plant just by the row spacing. And that didn't cost anything.
What's your gut tell you? Kelly Garrett did the soybean thing. The first year I started working for XtremeAg, we did. He went as low as the planter would dial it down to 36,000 or 38,000, and then up to like 180,000. And his conclusion was, we're spending way too much money on soybean seed, and you could be planting half as much as you are. Yet nobody does it.
Yeah.
Miles say, are you spending too much money on soybeans and putting too much out there? Yes. I said, why don't you change it? Well, because if there's a challenge in a year, then I got to have the seed out there. What's your gut tell you?
Yeah, same thing. Farmers are used to being consistent in what they've done in the past to get a good stand. We're fighting weed pressure, Damien, so that makes it hard to drop it down to that low pop. But if you can get a uniform stand at these lower populations, you can get away with a lot. And I really think where these beans were planted around the end of April, 1st of May, I really think, that 60, 70,000 probably is maybe the optimal yield. We'll see. We've all had beans that weren't as thick as we wanted, and you always go back to saying, well, we would have had a better yield if we'd had a thicker stand. But this time here, we're actually going to carry it to yield and see what it's going to be.
In your field day, these soybeans were all planted at a normal time, meaning probably in April or May, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then, but across your farm, you do a lot of soybeans that get planted after the wheat's harvested.
Yeah. So this year we were harvesting wheat the first week of June, and we've got rained out for 2 weeks. Went back and planted. We still got beans we got to replant here just 1st of July, basically 4th of July now. And it's been a challenging year. And I think low populations do not work the same the end of June, 1st of July as they will the end of April. So
because of moisture.
Yeah, moisture, they'll never get the height you need. They'll never get the dose they need. They can't branch out the same. They're in a time crunch from the time they come out. Beans planted in April, they've got time to they can get delayed for cold weather and stuff and still make it up. We can't do it this way. So, the biggest things we try to take away from the field days for people to get ideas, try them on their farm, and see if something helps them be a little bit more profitable.
What about the value of a field day? All right, you've been doing it. You learn from it yourself. You got your buddy Brian Adams out there doing agronomic stuff. You're doing it. You're also in the retail business, volunteer ag services. You sell some stuff. There's a lot going on here. The person that comes to this, what thing are they going to take away that you can even say, like, you know what? 3 years ago we did this, and now we do it on all of our fields. The stuff that actually isn't just experimental, like for the hell of it. You actually have taken it and said, yeah, we learned from it, and here's what we do.
Yeah, when we talk about the nitrogen reduction, that was a theory that people had 5-6 years ago. Yep. And that's a standard practice. We've changed up our fertility program, Damien. We don't put all of our nitrogen out up front. We stagger it out throughout the whole year, spoon feed along the way. That really works great for us. And if we're not spoon feeding, we got a product like Pivot Bio or another version of that that's going to sit there and feed that crop throughout the end of the year when we start usually running out. But also you start looking at just general fertility in general, the liquid versions of potassium and phosphorus and stuff like that we can add foliar, that we can really help make them plants put that last little push into those crops before they, mature out. That's another thing that we've really changed on our farming operation. And it all started on small scales.
Yep.
And we started ramping them up. And that's what we always just try to tell. If people got ideas, we tell them to tell us. If it's possible, we'll do it. But put on a field day, we got about 80 acres of field day of different crops planted, replicated. And we even got cotton, and cotton is always a tough one. seem to always have to replant it and still have a hard time with it. But we do it. Cotton's pretty important in this part of the country, and so we always try to do it to show that there's things you can do to a cotton crop. So what I'm saying is field days are hard. They're a lot of work, take a lot of time, but the knowledge that you get, unless you take something to your farm, whether it's on my farming operation or somebody else's, and hopefully let them try something that could hopefully give them a little better ROI or save them some time, which should equal ROI along the way.
I'll guarantee you one thing: it'll be hot. Actually, I'll guarantee that it'll be hot on August 5th in your part of the world. One other thing, you named a few companies. Who else is going to be there that we can check out their products and learn from?
So Nature's will be there. They'll be there talking about some agronomic things and why some of their products have a good fit for in-season applications. AgroLiquid's going to be there. We did I guess you can say a wheat competition, and I was going up against Kelly and Temple, and kind of seeing who could make the best wheat yields. We all did that with different crops. I was picked to do wheat, so we pushed that to see what we could do on that.
But it's already done. There's nothing to look at. The wheat's just going to be a field of stubble and some straw bales.
Well, we got a story to tell. That's all you got with that. But
all right, so who won? Who won?
I can't tell you that. You got to come to the field day.
All right, I'm going to come to the field day. I'm going to put my wager on. I'll put my wager on you. I'm going to say that you're a wheat producer. I'm going to say that you won. And sometimes guys don't win their own field day in the challenge. Remember, Matt Miles finished last in his field day last year. He finished last. So there's that.
Yeah. Because the ROI piece is what comes in. It's not always about the highest yield.
It's true.
So that's where it plays into that. And, we're going to have Agritech's going to be there. Agrison will be present at it. Lagos, which is a company that's got technology out there that's going to help release more phosphorus, is going to be there at the field day. It's a numerous amount of people, and I'm sure we're going to leave somebody out. But at the end of the day, they all got products that help and have places on our farming operation to help us be more efficient.
Yeah, I like it, and I'm going to be there. And then,
Damon, we've got one Title Grove's going to be there. A whole new route to market on fungicide, right? So we got those trials out there this year too.
Title Grow is new here for XtremeAg, and they have their slogan. Their slogan is "Seafood for the Soil." So they've got a product called Spectra you put out as a sort of a fungicide replacement, I guess I'd call it.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. We've got it up against a traditional fungicide. We got it matched with a traditional fungicide, and then a standalone. We got it at the field day, and then we got about 80 acres on one farm with just replicated plots with it. So we'll get some good data out of it and just see it. That's what I love. Some of these companies come, they're like, hey, can you try this stuff? It's always neat to try it because it could be the next thing coming.
Yeah, very good. The details on your field day, it's August. I keep saying the 5th. Yes, August 5th. How's it all work?
August 5th, registration will start at 7. We'll start off at 8 o'clock. We'll be finished in the field a little bit after 11. We'll go eat lunch, give away a few door prizes, and everybody can stand around and talk after that, depending on how hot it is, Dana.
It was in the barn, and we had fans on last year, and then somebody had the bright idea to put on those misters, and it went from hot to then feeling like we were inside of a greenhouse. But you know what? Hey, you're a farm person. It's just what happens.
Sure.
And there's a rumor. I've seen Johnny Verell in shorts 0 times ever. There's a rumor that he's starting to wear shorts. He's starting to actually adapt to the heat by wearing shorts. I wear shorts if it's warmer than 60 degrees, so it's no big thing to me. So there's a rumor that maybe Mr. Verell might be in shorts at his own field day. What do you think?
Yeah, I doubt that, but you're rubbing off on me, Daniel, so we'll see.
I'm rubbing off on. Anyway, they're free to attend. We want you to attend all of our field days if you can, any of them if you can. We also will be shooting videos while we're there and bringing some of the highlights to you about all these things when we're in the field. That's kind of a cool thing that we do. So why don't you go to extremeag.farm and sign up. They're free to attend, but you do have to register. Like Johnny said, lunch. You get lunch. You get a lot of learning. You get some giveaways and lots and lots of people you can meet with while you're there, including several of the XtremeAg people. I believe Kelly Garrett's going to be at your field day. Is Chad going to sneak over?
Yeah, I think Chad will be there. Temple will be there. There'll be some equipment. Demco's going to have some equipment there so people can see some of their stuff. It's got a little bit of everything. You ain't got to have just one row crop. We got 3 or 4 crops going to be represented, and different equipment companies going to be there also.
I like it. Get registered. See you August 5th. You also can go to Kevin Matthews on August 7th. If you want to go international, we're going to be at Sam Coutue's up north of the border. That's right. We're going to be in Quebec, in Saint-Norbert, as it's called, in Quebec. And that's August 15th. There's going to be interpreters. I'm going to be on stage. They're going to be interpreting me. Well, that'll go. And then, okay, so our last field day of the year is August 21st out in Maryland at Chestnut Manor Farm. That's our friend Temple Roads. Till next time, thanks for being here. His name is Johnny Verell. My name is Damian Mason. While you're on XtremeAg.farm, make sure you check out all the library of videos you can use to help yourself farm better. Videos these guys shoot in the fields like Johnny does. Episodes of the Cutting the Curve podcast. We've been doing it now for 4 years. Almost 300 episodes are released. It's a remarkable source of information. It's all free. You can also check out our new show, The Granary. I'd encourage you to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe to that. Again, it's free. We'd like to keep building our numbers over there. The Granary is the show that's shot here at my farm. Real farmers talking about real issues, personal, professional, in a laid-back setting. We invite you to pull up a chair with us at the Granary. You can check out that show on our YouTube or on XtremeAg.farm. Till next time, thanks for being here. He's Johnny. I'm Damian. You're awesome. Thanks for being here.
That's a wrap for this episode of Cutting the Curve. Make sure to check out XtremeAg.farm for more great content to help you squeeze more profit out of your farming operation.